In this video, we're going to talk about giving every newborn baby $6,750 and completely changing retirement in America. But before we do, if this is your first time at our channel or you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button at the bottom. My name is Travis Sickle, certified financial planner, helping you reach your financial goals. So the other day I was reading an article that was talking about Bill Ackman, and he's a hedge fund manager for Pershing Square. And in his annual report, he wrote a piece about giving $6,750 to every newborn child for their retirement. And at first I thought this was similar to the universal basic income. And this is something that you might have heard of with Andrew Yang, who ran for president in 2020 on the Democratic side, and he called it the freedom dividend. And the universal basic income would come from the government on a monthly basis for every American adult. But this plan is so much better and so much more. And that's because saving for retirement is so difficult for so many Americans, but at the same time, it would be astronomically expensive in order to provide universal basic income. So in a nutshell, here's how it works. We give every newborn baby $6,750. We put it into an index fund and they can't touch it until they're age 65. And magically at age 65, at an 8% rate of return, that is $1 million. That means it would be a program to give every American $1 million when they start retirement at age 65. In order to make this happen, Ackman cites that it would cost an estimated $26 billion a year given the current birth rates. And according to the CDC's website for 2018, there were 3,791,712 births. So if you multiply that by 6,750, you have roughly 25.5 billion. So round that up, there's your 26 billion. Now I'm going to talk about 3 reasons why I absolutely love this plan, but I want to pull up on the screen first to show you what this looks like over time as the money grows. So let me pull it up on the screen. And here we can see a graph of our investment of $6,750 over time. Now, this graph goes up and then it starts to go down because the way I'm showing it is in a retirement plan. And if you're unfamiliar with retirement plans, most retirement plans have what's called required minimum distributions. So at age 72, you have to take some money out. So that's what it's showing, and that's why the assets dip a little bit later on down the road. But let's go to age 32. And I'm choosing age 32 because that's right about the halfway point. So at age 32, we can see that we have $85,557 according to these numbers. That's $85,000. Now think about that for a minute. The halfway point, we've invested $6,750 day one, and after the halfway point, we're only at $85,000. Now here's the really neat thing about compounding rates of return. And if you don't know what compounding is, that's okay. Just think of it like a snowball. You start out with something very small, but as you roll that snowball, it gets bigger and bigger, but it doesn't just get bigger, it gets bigger faster. So if you look at the compounding from age 32 at 85,557, we fast forward all the way up until age 65, and that snowball grows hugely. And it goes just over $1 million. Now I'm clicking on age 64 because that's the end of the year. So it's on your 65th birthday. So that's $1,004,194 if you invested $6,750 day one at an 8% rate of return. And you might be wondering, is 8% really an achievable rate of return over the long haul? Well, if we invested into the S&P 500 and we look at this chart, so this is the S&P 500 index rates of return from any point in history from 1926 until 2018. So let's take 65 years. So we'll go from 2018 all the way back to 1953. And if we zoom in here, it shows us a rate of return of 10.6%. So if we assume just an 8% rate of return moving forward, historically speaking, it's absolutely achievable. Now, $1 million today is not going to be worth $1 million tomorrow. In fact, I can show you on the graph of what tomorrow's dollars look like today. So if we look at age 65, $1 million today would be worth $209,000 in 65 years. Now that's assuming a rate of inflation of 2.5%, or exactly 2.52%. And that's what we're assuming here. So with this plan, there are three uncertainties. Number one is taxes. What are tax rates going to be in the future? And would this money even be taxable? Number two is going to be the rate of return. And I'm going to talk a little about that in just a minute. And number three is inflation. Now, if inflation creeps up, that same amount of money will be worth less. But on the flip side, if inflation goes down, then it would be worth more. Just think to the stories when you heard that 150 years ago that a candy bar was a nickel. It's the same concept. The price of goods today will most likely be higher tomorrow. And here are the three reasons why I absolutely love the idea of this plan. Now, number one is a sustainable retirement. The money that's invested today grows over time, and it's going to be there for that individual. Unlike Social Security, which is really paying into a system that's virtually paying itself right out. That's why we have such difficulty with the Social Security system. And that brings me to point number two with investing. And that is because the current Social Security dollars are not invested in the stock market. They're invested in treasuries, which have an historically low rate of return. Put everything aside, number three is by far my favorite reason for loving this plan, and that's because it creates unity. It's going to bring unity across America because everybody's going to get behind the stock market because everybody's going to be invested. And here's what Bill Ackman had to say about that concept. He said that we need a program that makes every American an owner of the compounding growth and value of corporate America. That gets everybody behind the stock market, and everybody gets the rewards of a rising market. Now, there are a ton of details that would need to be worked out for this plan in order to have sustainability. Number one being, it's probably not a good idea to give everybody a check for $1 million when they turn 65. But giving that gift of compound interest to every American, so every American can get invested in the stock market and rise together, that is a plan that makes sense. And also helping to solve the issue of sustainability when it comes to Social Security. And that's what would happen if you give every newborn $6,750 at an 8% rate of return for 65 years. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and leave your comments down at the bottom.